Good afternoon, I'm Alex Tremaine and welcome to another session of Old Man Builds Gundam. Let's fix this so it's actually not lying to you. This will be the 7th and final part of the construction of the real grade RX-93 new Gundam. The Gundam itself has been finished for a couple of sessions now, and we are in the process of finishing off the HWS Expansion Kit, which I think will take maybe up to the first break today to finish off. Before we get to that, I have been in my off-stream builds. I have now finished the now completely finished. Let's see if we can get this to the master grade Banshee, including the giant fist on the claw fist thing on the left arm, which was the last bit that I hadn't finished off I think last time, and it's now I've transformed it and it's going to sit like this for a little while. It looks good transformed. Quite pleased with this build. As I say, it's a pretty solid build. It's got its good bits and its bad bits. Let's get this to. I'll fix that later. It doesn't have quite the it's not quite the same level of quality as moulding as the real grade kits that I've been doing recently, but it's still a really enjoyable kit. Really enjoyed putting that together. I suspect there's going to be some degree of similarity between that and the full armor unicorn we're going to move on to later today. Yeah, we'll see how that goes. Also, we when last we finished, we'd got the HWS chest piece fitted, the front and back waist armor enhancements, and the extra leg thrusters. And what I'd found was, on completion of the base model, was that the fin funnel wing on one side made the model extremely unbalanced, and it had a tendency to, it was almost falling over. It looked very bad, and at the width of 6 funnels together, the wing was sort of flopping. There was a good sort of centimetre of movement in each direction at this end of things when it was fitted, so it would flop forwards and backwards. And it occurred to me that the easy solution was just to split it in half and have 3 on each side, because the base kit comes with the fitting for the extra the fitting here for the extra fin funnel set. That's not part of the double fin funnel expansion, that's just part of the base kit. So and I think that's worked out pretty nicely, so I'm going to leave that like that, and we will today move on to finishing off the enhancements to the finish off the heavy weapons kit. So without further ado, let's one final bit of business. If you have missed any of the previous streams and have an interest in going back and seeing the build from the beginning, all of the streams are available at the YouTube archive. That link can be found in the Twitch channel description. There's a link to the YouTube archive there, and you're welcome to have a look at those and see how this started and how we've come here. Right. In the meantime, let's get straight into this. So, HC1 and 2, which is HC1. Is HC1? Yes. Let's get these removed. So, it's Sunday afternoon. It's been, well, this morning started out as bright shiny here. Got up and the alarm went off. Got up, went into the bathroom. Bathroom catches the sun in the morning here, and the bathroom is bright white tiled. It's like going into it was like going into a light box. It's very bit of a shock for first thing in the morning, you know, but wakes you up, I guess. It seems to have become a little on the it's not quite as ridiculously bright out there at the moment, which is, you know, not going to complain about. For those of you who are in the UK, this is, I guess, your final reminder that it is Mother's Day today, and if under normal circumstances, what I'd be saying is this is your last chance to go to a petrol station, buy a bunch of flowers, and drop it at you, and take it over to your parents to get some brownie points. But I don't even know if you can get flowers at petrol stations at the moment. Probably can. And that means you could probably just sort of abandon the flowers on the front door of your parents' house. Yeah. It's been a quiet day so far, and it's going to be a nice relaxing afternoon of Gundam together here. See what we can see what this looks like when it's finally finished, and then we'll be moving on to the master grade unicorn straight afterwards. The full armor unicorn with the lovely green psycho frame. I do prefer the green to the red. The red still looks good, but I think the green is very nice. Probably all be very glad that copyrighted music is not permitted on Twitch streams, or on YouTube for that matter, because this week we received a parcel from Japan containing a bunch of containing a CD of entrance music for Japanese wrestlers, and were I not required to limit myself to music that won't give me DMCA strikes, we'd be listening to that right now. But you have escaped that. Terrible fate through the wonders of copyright law. So I guess just very occasionally copyright law does something useful. Stopped clocks and all that. One. Try not to drop this. Yes, your I should imagine the joys you have with copyright law are certainly sour you to its existence, Miss Temperance. Levels are set okay, but please let me know if the music starts echoing. I don't think there should be any feedback with the way I've got it set up, but I don't get to be able to tell that from the sound, unfortunately. You have to, or not easily anyway. Can't hear me over the music. Well, that's probably the best for you, really. Let's see if we can't do something about that. There we go. I don't know if that's made any difference. No problem. it's been a pretty quiet week for me. Took a couple of days off in the middle of the week to basically say fuck it to the world, which allowed me to do a bit of gaming and finish off the Banshee as I showed earlier. I've got the master grade Resel Defensor unit for to keep me entertained off stream. I haven't started it yet, but I did take a look in the take a look at the box and see what's involved. It looks pretty nice, and yeah. So it's been pleasantly quiet here, which is how I like it. I've been playing HB1. Where is HB1? Yeah. I've been replaying Cyberpunk 2077. Started that again. I burned through that very quickly before Christmas. Sunk about 100 hours into it. It was very good. I'm playing it on the PC, so I didn't really experience much in the way of bugs. I mean, there were some issues that were resolved fairly quickly, but fortunately the PC version is broadly speaking pretty solid. Even at release it was okay, yeah, it was good fun. Really enjoyed it, and I'm retrying it with a slightly different build at the moment. I might make some different choices. See what that does to the endings. Yeah. I think on this occasion it was just that the PC was the version that lucked out. I mean, there's obviously limitations and idiosyncrasies to releasing something for consoles, but yeah, I can't say I was disappointed that I was playing it on the PC and was therefore able to play it, if that makes sense. Because yeah, I'd been ever since the first announcement back in 20... God, I don't even know when that was. 2011, 2012, something like that. The first just no gameplay trailer with used the track Bullets by the band Archive as the as the soundtrack. I've been looking forward to it ever since then. Cyberpunk 2020 was the first tabletop role-playing game I ever played. When I first went to university in the 90s, just to make you all feel young out there. 1997, went to university, and ended up playing Cyberpunk 2020 as the first role-playing game, first pen and paper role-playing game I'd played. So it's got it had a deep nostalgia feel to it for me, the game. From sort of the intellectual property and just the setting, it's lots of good nostalgia feels in it there. So I was never not going to play it, and it was thankfully not a disappointment. It was it was just really good. The story was great, the characters are great. Just, yeah. If you get the chance to play it, give it a try. It's it's an experience. Other things I've been in the process of getting some games reinstalled on the computer. I had to reinstall Windows a few weeks back, and so I've been slowly reinstalling games back onto the machine, getting to a point now where I've got most everything that I want sort of on a regular basis, but I've also been going through old Humble bundles and Humble monthly bundles and making sure that I've picked up everything from those that are relevant to me. So I've ended up with, through the Humble bundle, Humble monthly, and as it is now Humble Choice, I have ended up with Yakuza 0, Yakuza Kiwami, and Yakuza Kiwami 2, which are very definitely on my need to play list. So those got installed over the weekend. Haven't tried them yet. I mean, I'll be playing them through in order, so we'll be starting with Yakuza 0, but they're needless to say, all three of those are huge time investments, and this whole thing as reinstall has prompted me to that way around on here. The whole reinstall has prompted me to actually go through my games library and decide what it is I want installed and what I want to play, and reminded me of some of the things I have that I'd forgotten I had. So one of the things I spotted and thought, ooh, I never finished that, was Torment Tides of Numenera, the spiritual sequel to Planescape Torment. And obviously it's a little bit tainted at the moment with everything that's come out about Chris Avellone over the last little while, and but I bought it when it was released, so it's not like I can give it back, and I got a fair way into it on one occasion, so it's I've already supported him, unfortunately. But yeah, gonna give that another playthrough, see if I can get to the end of it this time without getting distracted by other shiny things. See how that goes. Sad news about Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2 being put on hold and taken away from the current developers and being passed off to different developers, and looks like that's going to be something of a from scratch rebuild, which is a shame. But if it's, I guess the last thing they want is, they've seen how badly the release of Cyberpunk 2077 went down for CD Projekt Red, and they've clearly decided that they don't want that to happen to their game. So can't blame him, but it is sad because I loved that first game. I have a physical copy of that, believe it or not, which I still use. I've lost track of how many times I've replayed that game, and I will admit that this that the recent news about its delay has kind of made me want to play it again. But I'm going to stick to things that I've either not played or not finished at the moment, as opposed to games that I've completed 3 or 4 times, which is I think where I am with Bloodlines. Favourite game? Oh, there's a question and a half, isn't it? It's a difficult one. I mean, by what metric? If you want to talk by sheer number of hours played, then I don't think I've played anything more than I've played EVE Online over the years. And that game will always have a solid place in my heart, because it was yeah, something special about that game from a just pure. Other games that hit the list, I guess Planescape Torment is a game I've been back to many times and completed many times. Obviously Bloodlines 1, God, I love that game. Games that had an impact on me. What else have we got? Games that I still think about and talk about today. System Shock 2. Yeah. System Shock 2 is a hell of a thing, and was a hell of a thing at the time. You know, it's an old game now, but it there we go. It was yeah, System Shock 2 I think has got to be right there on that list as so here's HP 1.8 and HP 2.8. It's a story that still holds up. I mean, if they're doing a remake, I would love a remake of System Shock 2. I haven't seen much about it, I will admit. I've not looked actually. Hang on. Weep for Sprue HB1, for it is no more. HC. Sorry, HB1. I'd love a remake of it. I mean, and I don't need them to do anything to it. I just need them to, you know, make exactly the same game, make it pretty. That would be all I want from it. You know, it's like the favourite games. Final Fantasy VII has to be on there. Yeah, just make it HC1. Where's HC1? This is HC1. Just make exactly the same game. Make it pretty. Don't fuck with it. Just make the same game with modern visuals. That's all I need. Maybe tweak the inventory management. Maybe just a little to make it slightly less of a pain in the arse. But I think that would be the most I'd want anybody to do with it. Literally just quality of life improvements. Everything else, just leave it as it is. Put it in a modern engine. Jobs are good. So, definitely going to be going back to Torment Tides of Numenera. As far as I got on my previous run through, it was, I mean, nothing's ever going to hold up to sort of hold up 100% to Planescape Torment. Because it got there first, it did it first, it was a game that really knew what it was doing and hit all the right notes just straight off the bat. But Torment Tides of Numenera was pretty good, and it didn't make the mistake of being as slavish. Of making itself a slave to the first game. I mean, obviously they're different settings, but yeah, the remake of System Shock 1, that's a good idea. That's genuinely a good idea, because the original game is unplayable. Not because of that there's anything wrong with it, but because it came out at a point where people were still experimenting with control interfaces and how mouse look was going to work in first-person video games, and System Shock 1, whilst being an excellent story, made the wrong decision on how the control interface was going to work. So a modern version of System Shock 1 with mouse look working properly, yeah, very much down for that. I did complete System Shock 1, and it is a very good game, but I have since tried to go back to it, and even just a few years later, I mean, I remember at the time I was playing it, the control scheme was clunky, and even just a few years later, the ingrained reactions of using sort of what is now the normal mouse look configuration rendered System Shock 1 unplayable, because it just worked in a completely different fashion to how a completely different fashion to how convention had settled. Yeah, there's been a System Shock 3 in development off and on for quite a while, and I mean, I'll be interested to see what they do with it. I don't know what story you tell with System Shock 3. It's are these two identical? Yes, they are. I don't know what story you tell with System Shock 3. I really don't. It's System Shock 2 felt like an end point. It felt like a completed story. I mean, the ending, there was a degree of so there was some narrative freedom there at the end of System Shock 1, because Shodan, or a part of Shodan, had again gotten away, as she did in the first one, but you run the risk of I think they've got to kill off Shodan at the end of this one. You've actually got to, this has to be an ending. You can't keep it devalues the villain if and Shodan is such a good villain. like one of my favourite villains. She's got a strong storyline. I think either, I mean, I'm no writer by any stretch of the imagination, but if I were writing System Shock 3, I would have, because System Shock 1, Showdown was unambiguously the villain. System Shock 2, you spend a lot of time working with Showdown, helping her and her helping you, and she's certainly a villain of the piece, and she's certainly not a nice person, entity, being, but I would continue that transition. I would focus on the conflict of being a digital intelligence in a human body, and whether I'd be tempted even to maybe make Rebecca the protagonist, and have the game be about have the game be a fight for equilibrium between them. I mean, obviously to a degree there's similarities in that to some of the themes of Cyberpunk 2020, so maybe 2077, so maybe they don't want to go down that road for fear of being too similar, but that's certainly the direction I would lean, would be make Rebecca the protagonist and take it down that route. Have the primary conflict, have an outside threat that they both have to deal with, and make that the primary story through line, be the joining of those two. Right, we have I think we're referring to this as the Mega Beam Rifle. Let's just check. Hyper Mega Rifle, in fact. I'm sorry, I undersold it. We have the Hyper Mega Rifle, which has tripod, very nice. There we go. So yeah, that's where I'd go with it. So how does this? Yeah, that's where I'd go with it. Whether that's, whether that's where they'll go with it, I guess we'll find out in the future. But yeah, I'd make it a more personal story and focus on Shodan herself. Let's get this hand off here if we can. Come on, you can do it. There we go. I mean, why would you want a rifle this small when you'd have one this big? Yeah, that's not in any way, shape or form ridiculous. Yeah, there certainly is. There is definitely some kind of size mattering lesson going on here. And, you know, that seems fair. So, moving from the not at all hyperbolically named Hyper Mega Rifle to the equally non-hyperbolically named High Mega Shield. And we're starting with HA5, HA13 and HA17. So 5 is this one. Five, 13 and 17. Games on my to-do list. Another one that I've been having a think about going back and finishing is Valkyria Chronicles, which I had on the PS3 many years ago, and ended up with a PC version through the Humble Monthly bundle at one point, and I've not really. I suspect it'll actually be a little bit easier to deal with on PC. I think being able to mouse look for. I've seen somebody stream it. The PC version, and mouse look is definitely a thing that it gives you, and that'll make a big difference in how easy it is to aim in that game. Like a huge difference. So I'll have to give that a try. That's not as high up on my list. But it's definitely there. One thing I haven't done since reinstalling Windows is reinstall all the HTC Vive software, which I really must do, because I want to dig into. Well, I want to get some Beam Saber in, because Beam Saber is just awesome. I want to dig into Battle Group VR, which I had a bit of a play with. It's a sort of real-time strategy, space battle sim type thing, but more sort of capital ship focused than. It's not a first person, you're in a space fighter kind of thing. It's you're controlling multiple capital ships from the bridge of one of the capital ships kind of game, and it's got a nice sort of big spaceships punching big holes in the side of each other kind of feel to it, which I rather like, and the controls are very intuitive for that. So I think that's it's definitely on the list. Right, so that's everything there. Yeah, I think you can. Well, no, you definitely can. I haven't looked at exactly how one will go about doing it, but I am going to look at how one will go about doing it. Because yes, I think that will be I think streaming Battle Group VR would be something that might people might find interesting. Certainly give it a shot anyway, and see how. I don't know what the experience will be like for people sort of watching it in a 2D environment, if you see what I mean. But yeah, it's definitely a thought I had. whether it would be a viable thing to do. So I clearly underestimated how long it was going to take to finish this HWS expansion. I thought we'd have this done inside the first hour of the stream, but it's looking like not so much. We will still go to a break shortly so that everybody may refresh themselves, and more specifically I can refill my glass. Does give it a nice contrast. Right, HB1 and HC1 11. HC1 11. One thing I won't be doing if I were to stream Battle Group VR or any other VR game, I guess, is I will not be having a shame cam of me wearing the mask and doing foolish things in the real world. There will be an in-game feed only, I think, on that front. Nobody needs to see me sweating and panting. Trying to achieve physical activity. VR streams will also end up being if I can do them, VR streams will end up being a little limited in length as well. I mean, the stream will probably continue after the VR section, but VR is both physically tiring in a lot of cases and also taxing on the eyes. Go. Hinges down into place like so. Right, it's gone 2 o'clock, so it's time to go and get a fresh drink. Take care of any needs that you have in the meantime, and I will be back in a few minutes. Just after 10 past, probably, I would guess at this stage. To finish this off. Look forward to seeing you all shortly. Welcome back. Ooh, let's just try and get that out of. Definitely going to have to look at getting that in my way. Right, sorry. Welcome back. I'm Alex Tremaine. I'm an old man that builds Gundam. Today we are continuing and hopefully concluding the build of the RX-93 new Gundam, including the HWS Expansion Kit, which is what we're finishing off now. All previous parts of this build can be found at my YouTube channel. Archives all of the streams that I've done. Link to the YouTube channel can be found in the Twitch channel description. If you're enjoying the show, I would be eternally grateful if you would push the follow button and join me. But don't feel you have to. Before the break, we just started to we'd finished the Hyper Mega Rifle, and we were on the High Mega Shield, and had built the first of the sort of down pieces of the High Mega Shield. So I guess we're going to do exactly this all over again, but for the other side. In the meantime, we've been talking about computer games. Video games, as the saying goes. Another thing I have recently reinstalled is My Summer Car, which is an indie video game about being a Finnish teenager in the 90s and restoring a knackered old car. While your parents are away, and also getting drunk. It's I played it probably a couple of years ago now, when it was still in beta. I think it's now actually full release, but I played it when it was in early access. And I've been meaning to go back and try it out now that it's the final release. There's a lot more to it than there was the first time I tried it, so I'm curious to see exactly what that involves. It's sort of, if you've ever seen the Car Mechanic Simulator, which I also must reinstall, if you've ever seen the Car Mechanic Simulator series, it's sort of part Car Mechanic Simulator and part survival game. In that you have hunger, thirst bars and the like that you have to manage. I really enjoyed it in early access. It sort of, whilst I was never a teenager in the 90s in Finland, I was a teenager in the 90s, and I did work on project cars with my dad. Well, we didn't have a project car until the 2000s. Or rather, my dad didn't have a project car until the 2000s. I didn't have a project car until much later. But I did spend a lot of time in the 90s working on my dad's cars, as and when they needed repair, because we always had older vehicles that you actually could repair, unlike modern cars where there's less that you can actually do with them yourself. We always had older vehicles that were more easily maintained by an enthusiast who knows what they're doing than a modern car is. Or than a modern car even was back then. So I've worked on ended up working on Volvo 244, Ford Sierras, Ford Granada, Ford Escort, what else? Austin Maestro. Decent old cars. Well, decent. Austin Ambassador. There's a dodgy old car for you. So yeah, I ended up working on a few older vehicles, and yeah, it was fun. And in the years since, I've had project cars of my own. For many years I had a 1981 Austin Mini. For a long time was my daily driver, and after a little while, after many years service, it had some trouble getting through an MOT and got transitioned to project vehicle rather than daily driver, and that got sent to a better home for a full restoration, about 18 months ago now. But I also have a kit car, a Birchall McCoy, which uses an Austin Mini as a donor car, or an Austin Mini Metro, depending on your preference. In this case it uses mostly, as far as I can tell, Austin Mini kit, this one. Yeah, so that's, I would really love to be able to set up work out how to stream doing some work on the project car, but I'd have to get internet out to the garage. I think the only way I'd be able to do that would be a very long Cat6 cable. This garage is at the bottom of the garden, and the Wi-Fi is certainly not going to reach. So that would be a very long Cat6 cable, and then actually working out what the camera would need to be looking at and how I would deliver that experience is not something I've got my head around. We'll see what happens. It may be something that can be achieved in the future. Right, that's those two bits. So we need this. And we need HC211, which is this one. What there will be in the future is some games streaming in addition to the usual Gundam streaming here. Exactly what those games will be, I'm not sure. Certainly, if I can get Battlegroup VR to stream, that'll be one of them. I think that would be very entertaining to put on stream. Yeah, possibility some Magic the Gathering streaming. Not 100% sure about that, but it's certainly one of the ideas that's percolating. I've also been no imminent changes, but I've been keeping an eye on how things have been going on stream here, and certainly going to, as I say, no changes straight away, but signs are pointing to given there's only 2 people in stream at the moment, signs are pointing to Sunday afternoon not being the best time to stream. So whereas Thursday evenings I'm getting a handful of people showing up and chatting. So I think there may be some rejigging of the streaming schedule to lean towards weekday evenings rather than weekend daytimes, or at least some kind of evening. It'll either be, I think my thoughts are either move the regular Sunday stream to be a regular Tuesday stream and have the weekly sort of actual build streams be Thursday evening and Tuesday evening. Let's see if that was an undercase. That's why I'm losing track of it. Or do Thursday evening and Saturday evening maybe. Because evenings just, I don't know if it's that it's a Sunday or if it's that it's the afternoon. Unfortunately, Sunday evenings aren't possible for me because I've got I say tabletop role-playing game, but it's being done online these days. There we go. That's those two parts. HB13. HB13. So yes, I have a regular tabletop role-playing game scheduled for Sunday evenings, so they're not really doable for me. Saturday evening is not out of the question. Weep for Sprue HB1. This is also novel. But yeah, we'll see how things go. I think there'll probably be at least one more Sunday afternoon stream at least. But then we might look at how Tuesday afternoon works. Tuesday evenings work. Which I guess would also UK evenings also give makes it more, it's not ideal for US time zones, but certainly a little easier than UK afternoon. I think this particular stream slot is it's kind of prohibitive to, well, not prohibitive, but it's early in the morning over there, or very early in the morning, depending on which coast they're on. Right, I think that's everything there. And then this. Fits here. And this fits here, like so. Right, HA1 and HA2 and HC14. HC14, which is this one. Right. so which way? I think we'll do that the other way around. Connect it to this one first by the look of it. Right, so that clips on there. This then clips on here, like so. And then this is presumably going to end up here somehow. So we'll just put that out of the way for the moment. We're going to build some enormous rockets first. HC-15 and HC-17. So, where are we? We're talking about games that I'm looking to play in the future, potentially on stream, but not exclusively. It's been quite interesting going through my Steam library with a more critical eye as to the various things that are in there. I mean, some of the stuff in that library is only in there because it's ended up there off the back of a Humble Bundle or similar. And some of it obviously an awful lot of that, a lot of it is there deliberately. But yeah, having that sort of fresh start of no games installed made me think a little bit more carefully about, what my options were and whether I wanted to just do the same old. I mean, there's some things I said I tried to avoid installing things that I'd completed repeatedly, but the one thing I did fail on that front on was Fallout New Vegas, because god damn, that game's good, and every now and again all I want to do is get back in there and set again. It's just it's a really compelling setting, and the stories in that game are so well put together. Of all the Fallout series, it's the one I go back to the most. And don't get me wrong, I enjoyed Fallout 4. I do go back to Fallout 4, but I think New Vegas is the one. I mean, we were talking about favourite games earlier. I guess New Vegas is absolutely something that should be mentioned on that list for me. New Vegas is definitely one of those games. I keep thinking about going back to have a, obviously it would have to be a heavily modified look at, but going back to have another look at Morrowind, which I adored when it came out. And again, I think it's still got one of the strongest stories of the of that series. So yeah. That was the first of the Elder Scrolls games I ever played, was Morrowind. And it certainly it certainly got me into the series, cannot deny. Right, so this presumably clips on here, like so. And then we're attaching HA11 and HA3, which are here. I was playing this Kerbal Space Program again recently as well. That was something I played when it was in beta, when it was in early access, and didn't come back to after its final release. Whoop sprue HA for it is no more. That's a game that's seen a lot of progress. I'm definitely going to have to dig into that a little further. That might be something that I could stream, maybe. I don't know what the Kerbal Space Program streaming community is like. I suspect it's one of those games that I don't know how tolerant that feels like. It might be a community that's really invested in the game, and having an idiot like me who has no idea what they're doing with it show up and play around with it on stream may not be maybe frustrating for them to watch. But we'll see. There have certainly been games like that where we're watching somebody play it badly can make your fingers itch. Not that there should be, everybody should be able to play and indeed stream the game in any way they like, but as long as you're having fun with it, it doesn't matter what you're doing. But by the same token, the internet is full of internet, which is not always for the best. Yeah, absolutely. Gatekeeping does indeed suck. One thing that I haven't reinstalled, I realised yesterday, since my Windows pave, is Minecraft. So that's on my list to do after this stream. Is to I've not played Minecraft in ages, so I need to have a look and see. I don't play vanilla. I got bored with vanilla many years ago, so I've only been doing modded for quite some time now. So I need to see what Feed the Beast is up to. My understanding is that they've moved away from the Twitch launcher again back to the Curse launcher, I think. So I need to work out. I need to have a look at the launchers and work out what's going on there. hat. Work out exactly what launcher I need to be using to get it to work these days. Right, so this then connects into the back of... Oh, bugger. Oh, right, I'm going to have to be very gentle with that. Oh yeah, particularly given what that is. I just damaged this. Never mind. It's not fully broken. So, that's everything for the shield. Which means we need to take this off. Remove that. This then goes in here. We prefer Sprue HC1. Well, that is also dead. That's the in what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 kits. That's the first part I've damaged. More than, you know, just sort of nub mark damage, actually sort of structural damage. That's really annoying. Thankfully, it's super well hidden and it didn't come off. So we will pretend it didn't happen. Later look into seeing if there's anything I can do with this. Right, so this thing goes this way, clips in here like so. Oh, okay. Oh no, no. Right, so this. Let's just take that off. Let's flip that down. Go. It's supposed to be like that. And on the left arm. Ah, interesting. Okay, so we pull off the fist. And read for Sprue HC2. Well, that is also dead. A bit more quickly than I was expecting. That was the other thing I've reinstalled. Oh god, I can't even remember what the name of it is now. It's a XCOM Enemy Unknown alike game, but it's Phantom Doctrine. There we go. That's the one I'm trying to think of, which is similar in mechanics to the XCOM Enemy Unknown, the sort of 2000s remake, or 2010s remake. I can't remember when Enemy Unknown and Enemy Within came out, but not the original 90s ones, the more recent ones, similar to those games, but set as a 70s spy thriller setting. So you have the same sort of base building and the like, but the same base building and the like, but all set in a 70s spy thriller kind of setting, which is really cool. Right, so I don't know why I'm not entirely certain why we had to take the hand off to do that, but maybe it wouldn't have quite fitted over if we hadn't. So that is a spare part that we need, and then it's fucking sticker time apparently. Well, that's some entertainment value that I will do off stream. In the meantime, let's see if we can, there we go, get that mounted. And that is it. one real grade RX-93 new Gundam with the HWS Expansion Kit fitted, an enormous great shield. I've split the fin funnels onto both sides of the kit to give it a bit of balance, and we have the heavy weapons and armour fitted, and all in all, I'm really pleased with this. This has been a fantastically enjoyable build. I think it's come out very well. Yeah, there is now, as I understand it, there is I've recently seen seen adverts for a vGundam version that is the original kit and the HWS Expansion Kit as a single unit. I would really recommend going for it if you've not got the kit and you want to build it. Just get the full thing. It's available now, I believe, or it's pre-order now. But either way, I mean, look at this thing. It's fucking awesome. With its little, with our little sort of chest-mounted rocket packs and all sorts of other things. It's super cool. So yeah, this has been great fun. I've really enjoyed this as a first on-stream build. I hope other people have as well. And yeah, I'm going to go and put this over on the desk behind me, and I'll work out exactly where I'm putting it later. Well, with that shield on, it sags a bit to the side, sadly, but what can you do? I'll have a look at see if there's any way to tighten that up a bit later. Right, so this is parts bag for this one. This has all of the extra bits that got taken off in the transformation or haven't been used. All of the alternate hands, for example, are in here. And we'll put the original beam rifle in there as well. And just what I don't want to have happen is for any of that to go missing. So that can go back in there along with the instructions. And I've got the original instructions there, so that's everything I will need for putting the decals on that, which is something I'll do off stream. And once that's finished, I've sort of finished putting the decals on this unicorn. I haven't done anything with the unicorn with this unicorn in a little while. So there's a whole bunch of decals still to go on that. This is the full armor version, real grade full armor version. So there's an awful lot more than just this that needs decals. I'm just going to get rid of those remaining nubs. And it's 3:10. So it's at the very least time for a break. I think at this point we've come to the end of a build. There's just, I think it's just Miss Temperance in stream. So I think what we're going to do at this point is actually call it for the day. Put a cap on this build, and we'll start the Master Grade Unicorn on Thursday. Hello, Miss Temperance. I'm only showing 2 people watching the stream, and one of those is me to make sure that the stream works. So I'm going to call it today for the stream, because there's not many people here. We do get more people on Thursdays. We'll start the Master Grade Full Armor Unicorn build fresh on Thursday evening, and when more people can see it, and we'll talk on Thursday about whether moving the Sunday slot to a Tuesday evening slot might be of benefit to people to be able to watch. So thank you for being here, and I hope you have a fantastic rest of the weekend, and I shall see you all on Thursday. Have a great week.